Hello, everybody. We're the Geeks and Degenerates, and for this week, we're starting a bit late, but that's fine. This week, we're continuing our Halloween lineup for this month with Texas Chainsaw, the original one. I am Menzo. This is my forever co-host John, and yeah, um, how did you come about this movie? Before we get started,
Man, I was like, oh yeah, Texas Chainsaw would be a great lineup. And then, my God, I forgot how gross it was.
yeah,
Like it's, I do remember like watching this for the first time in the pandemic, where I was like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna start watching like original horror movies, like the first Nightmare on Elm Street, the first Thing,
yeah,
and first Jason, well Friday the 13th, and then now this, and I was like, okay, let's just get it over with. And then I watched this. You remember the one with Jessica Biel?
huh?
Jessica
Yeah.
Biel.
I barely remember that one.
Really? Yeah. It ain't this. Thank God, because that one was fucking gross. This one's not that bad, but like the body horror and like you see like the opening shot with like the grave robbed like dead bodies like
Yeah.
on the tombstone. I was like, and I was eating while I was watching this. I was like, I was like, hell no, fuck that shit. Yeah, I forgot how gross it was, and I had to rewatch it for this fucking review. Um, Thank you, Enzo.
Yeah, I remember also watching this during lockdown because I was like, well, I have enough time in the world right now, so why not? Um,
Yeah.
and I was like, wow, this is a pretty simple movie, but just pretty gross and pretty disturbing at the same time. Uh, which is why I kind of like it, not for the disturbing part bits, but for like the simplicity of it all. And
Yeah.
it's not also not too gory, not like modern
So
standards.
surprisingly, I go, yeah, like first time watching it back in like again the pandemic, I could have sworn it was way more gory, but like I guess I Mandela affected it with like the different Leatherface movies.
Yeah. Um, And yeah, this is a very simple premise of a few teens traveling through Texas in the summer. But you did mention we get the opening of like this is based on a true story, but it really isn't.
No.
Uh, uh,
Inspired by a case where there were cannibals in Texas, but like it
yeah,
wasn't a true story.
yeah. And this horror movie predates a lot of the classics too, like Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street. So this really is one of the first of its kind. And it starts out pretty slow with the teens traveling through Texas on their way to their family home, and you're like, I guess this is a thing in the 70s. Um,
Was it their family home? I thought they were like just checking up on like their relatives if they were dug up because there were cases of people grave robbing.
oh yeah, that's true. Um, but yeah, it's Pam, Kirk, Jerry, Sally, and her brother Franklin, and you're like, they're not the deepest of characters, and you're just like, I guess we're just along here for the ride, and to vibe with these 70s teens. You're like, all right, sure, why not? Um, though Franklin, like, quickly gets on your nerves because he's a bit, not a bit, but like a lot annoying. You're like, can you please stop whining? I am begging you, please.
Yeah, yeah, the guy in the wheelchair.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was like, oh, dude, I get it. You're in a wheelchair, but shut up. Like, seriously. But he does get his comeuppance, not really. When they pick up a hitchhiker, I was like, it's like, why? Why do you people do that?
I
For
guess
fuck's sake.
out the goodness of their hearts, you're like, all right, I guess we're helping this guy. Sure.
Well, look where that got them. Man was crazy and started, like, spazzing out and then tried selling him a photo on the spot
Yeah,
and, like, cuts himself. And I'm like, y'all regret your choices now, huh?
yeah, and they kick him out once he starts like slicing up poor Frank, and they're like, yeah, yeah, no, get out. And the
Yeah,
hitchhiker is on his own.
yeah, Franklin pretty much has the right to complain
Yeah,
because he had to like take out like an open razor and just like cuts it off. Like, no, I'm good. I'm good.
it's just them traveling through this road for most of the movie, and like they stop at the gas station for a bit, and there's not really much gas or help, just barbecue, and they're like, all right, we're going, bye. And the guy's like, okay, sure, come back
Yeah,
if you need
peace.
help. Yeah. And then they go to this abandoned house, and I guess this is what people did back then for fun. Crazy.
I don't know what's up with y'all in the 70s, but I guess that's what happened with the whole Charles Manson thing, huh?
Yeah. Before Charles Manson, I guess it was okay to go to abandoned houses and yeah, break and enter. Apparently.
Yeah, I say I say the Leatherface family had every right to just go violent.
Yeah, it's what happens to poor Kirk and Pam. First, Kirk just breaks in. You're not supposed to enter a house without the consent of the owners, but curiosity gets the best of him. He's like, "Oh, cool! I hear pig noises." Then he trips and falls, almost trips and falls, but he's right in front of Leatherface, and like, there's no musical cues. There's no like jump scares. Just like, "Oh shit, that's a big guy," and a hit.
And
to the
then
head.
fucking gets whacked. I'm like,
Yeah, it's pretty disturbing too.
yeah. I got more shocked with that than if there was a wing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's no high pitched noise. I guess it was before that time.
Yeah.
It was just dude getting knocked the fuck out and then being dragged into the cellar.
Yeah.
And what's even worse is that he didn't even get knocked out on the first hit.
Yeah.
Man was still like rioting. I was like, what the fuck happened? And then gets hit again. I was like,
Yeah, he gets the death blow, and you're like, oh shit, I guess that's the end of Kirk. And then Pam follows him. She stumbles into this room where there's all these chicken bones and whatnot, and
skeletons, and then you see a skull.
yeah,
This is the part where I said it was gross. I was like, okay, besides the dead body on the tombstone, like, I don't like weird ass taxidermy bit and like makeshift couches out of whatever they killed. Like, I'm good. I found that really gross, even though there was no guts or blood around. I was like, eh.
yeah. And poor Pam is next, and then she gets hooked on a meat hook, and you're like, so that's where
Alive.
Daylight gets it. Yeah, alive.
Yeah.
And again, like, there's nothing too gory about her being hooked on the meat hook. You're just like, oh, poor girl. But it's not like blood spurting everywhere, especially when Leatherface starts to dig into Kirk, and you're like, Jesus Christ, that is macabre. And poor Pam has to watch, and you're like, I appreciate the lack of gore. I mean, it is pretty disturbing to see these people be tortured and disemboweled, but like, I guess in the 70s, or like for today's standards, like if this was shot today, you would see like guts and brains everywhere. You would see like Pam coughing up blood, and you're just like, oh shit, it's just gross for the sake of being gross.
Yeah, that's what I appreciate that as well, where it's kind of just like less is more at some point. So I'm like, yeah. And when it comes to a movie called Leatherface, or sorry,
Texas Chainsaw.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm like, okay, you know what? I don't mind.
Yeah.
It's actually okay that it's
Yeah.
not that bloody and gory.
Yeah. And then Jerry soon follows, and like throughout this movie too, you see the cinematography, and you're like, damn, it's a pretty well shot movie. And again, very quick and simple movie, but the images stay with you forever. Like poor Jerry discovering the body of Pam, and you're like, oh, I guess she's not dead. Oh, she is now.
She's clearly alive.
Yeah.
And then Leatherface comes in and takes Jerry out, but we don't ever hear from Pam again. Like, did she get out?
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess she's stuck in the ref. I'm like, all right.
I guess she freezes to death. And then Franklin and Sally have an argument of like, please don't leave me. Oh, fine, you can take the torch, but can I come along? And you're like, man, you were annoying.
Well, he ain't annoying for long, because poor Bassett gets chainsawed while he's on the chair.
Hey.
I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
ciao, Franklin.
Yeah, again, like, it's very explicit, but at the same time, you're like, there's a lot lacking in like blood and guts, which I like. And
There was a little bit of spurts, but it's not like the one that you would expect.
yeah, and then poor Sally gets chased around through her horror, and then most of the movie, for the rest of the movie, it's just her being chased around. You're like, oh, poor final girl. And she really is the first of many final girls in the horror franchise. She even dives through a window. You're like, oh god damn. Okay.
which is clearly a theme in Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. Um, and then she stumbles upon the gas guy, and then he's like, "All right, calm down. I'll be back with my truck." And then he comes back with like a bag and a rope, and you're like, "The fuck? Okay, I guess we're doing this." And then he
Yeah.
knocks her out with a broomstick, and then brings her back to.
That was the funniest shit I've seen. This guy's just like, granny hitting her. And she's just like, ah! Like she's being demolished by this broomstick when she clearly had. Oh, wait, what weapon did she have again? Like, I remember she had
A
something.
knife.
Oh, God damn it.
And then you find out that the cook and the hitchhiker are relatives, and they're part of the who will become to be known as the Sawyer family. But for now, they're just the cook and the hitchhiker, and you're like, oh shit, they're all related. This is pretty bad for Sally.
Yeah, and I was like, who's the other brother? Fuck.
Yeah, set her face. But like throughout the franchise, like you sometimes fear Leatherface, sometimes you feel bad for him because he's being taken advantage by his other family members, and you're like, oh, it's an interesting portrayal of Leatherface every time he's on screen. It's not consistent, but if for nothing else, it's entertaining.
Well, besides that one recent Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh fuck, I forgot about that already.
Yeah, same here, but like, we're talking about it.
Yeah. And then, like, the last act of this movie is, like, the most disturbing part of poor Sally being tied down to a chair with human arms and screaming Bloody Mary while the rest of the Sawyer family are just imitating her.
I do love this scene because, yeah, like, throughout this entire movie, it's just hack and slash where we've seen it 1,000 times. For sure, this pioneered it. But just sitting down, her just being tormented the entire time, I was like,
Yeah.
This reminds me of Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
If you all remember that scene.
Mm-hmm.
And I played that before I watched this, so I was like,
Yeah.
I see where they got the inspiration from.
Yeah, yeah. And, like, she begs the cook, like, please don't let them kill me. And they're like, he can't do anything. It's me and Leatherface who make the killing. He's like, I can't. The cook's like, I can't abide by killing, so I'll just let the younger ones do it. And, like, he's trying to, they're trying to calm her down. It's like, don't worry, we'll make it quick. We'll make it very quick. Grandpa is the best killer. The fucking grandpa scene creeps me out of him just tasting her blood. You're like, what the fuck is happening?
Dude, I thought they were dead. Like, I thought this was some Norman Bates shit where they just keep their dead parents around.
Right?
But nah, the guy's like, if I remember, like, he's like 100 something.
Yeah.
He's just suckling on that bloody finger. I was like, and he's just see him just like, I was like, what the fuck is that? Which made it even more gross. I was like, ugh. Which reminds me of the grandmother from,
Resident Evil
Evil 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they make the granddad do the killing, and it's a darkly comedic scene of like, am I supposed to be laughing or am I supposed to be feeling bad for Sally? I can't tell right now.
Just seeing this geriatric trying to commit murder, it's like,
Yeah.
alright, man. Alright, but he does hit her. And then, I think when he tried to hit her another time, she found out. I don't know how she got out.
Neither do I. I guess the hitchhiker's grip got loose and she burst through another window, and then she's chased by Leatherface and the hitchhiker. The hitchhiker starts slashing at her, but thankfully she's saved by some random truck driver. We're like, okay, cool.
Not gonna lie, I was like, please don't tell me there's another fucking relative that we don't know about.
Right? And then he runs out. They both run out, are running away from Leatherface because the hitchhiker got run over. And another truck comes along and saves Sally, and you're like, oh, she's literally the first final girl ever. Cool.
Yeah. And I love how that truck driver just bolted and we never knew what happened to him after that.
You're just like,
okay. Yeah. And by the way, if I was that other truck driver, the guy with the pickup truck,
yeah,
I would have not stopped. I'm sorry. You see this 6-foot dude with a chainsaw and then this bloody ass girl. I'm like, not my problem.
And then we get the iconic chainsaw dance by Leatherface, and the movie ends abruptly, and you're like, holy fuck, Jesus Christ. And like, it's such a movies were horror movies, I guess, were filmed differently back then, and it's just like, I appreciate this, but Jesus Christ, What an
Okay.
adrenaline rush at the end.
I'm gonna be very honest with the audience here. Me and Enzo are very tired because we fucking watched maybe too many slasher movies to a point where we're just like, man, why? Why are we doing this to ourselves? But it's Halloween and we're doing it for you.
Yeah.
But not gonna lie, we're not yet done with the lineup, by the way.
Yeah.
We still got like a couple to go. And this is like our first filming.
Yeah.
I'm tired. Sorry, man. Like, I love horror movies. I really do. But watching them consecutively, like in a row, I'm like,
Yeah.
eh.
Thankfully, our Halloween lineup is not just all horror. We have to diversify.
That's good. That's good.
And like Netflix has new stuff that we'll definitely be doing. But for now, yeah, it's a very it's a very simple movie, a very simple premise, very simple stuff, but like the last act is what keeps with you forever, and you're like, huh, okay.
Again, beautiful cinematic shots, especially the one where like when the brother meets up with the other brother, the cook and the hitchhiker, and they're in front of the car. Man, you got at some point you gotta just stop and appreciate the cinematography, minus the dead people, but like, you know, it's actually really nice to see, and like there's a lot of thought put into the shots. And I'm like, I wish recent like horror movies kind of did that.
Yeah. But yeah, what would you rate the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
I don't know, I'll give it a solid 7. Like, I enjoyed it, but at the same time, it's not like my go-to
Horror movie?
horror movie. I'm more of a ghost kind of person. Serial killers and slashers aren't like the thing that makes me like stay up at night.
Yeah.
But I would say cannibals are a real thing though, so that's kind of scary.
I don't want to be eaten.
I really don't. And plus, middle of nowhere in the 70s. Yeah, you know what? I'm glad to be a Filipino, where everything's so compact and like everything's at arm's reach.
Right?
You know?
Yeah, I'll also give this a 7. It's a very, again, simple, straightforward horror movie that the ending just gets you. But like the rest of the journey, you're just like, I'm just vibing with these themes until it all goes horribly wrong. And that's about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, before we close this out, what other classic horror movies from like the 80s and 70s, besides our lineup, would you recommend the audience, or is your favorite?
Ooh, that's good. Okay, you know what? I really hope it's not a 70s one, but it is a slasher movie. I can't think of any 70s horror movie prior to Texas Chainsaw and that we have not reviewed. We review a lot of movies, man.
Yeah.
But I will say Tucker and Dale versus Evil. That shit was fucking funny, and it like it's a satire on the whole slasher movie thing, Cabin in the Woods. I like Cabin in the Woods, but like more comedy.
Okay.
And hopefully we do a review on it soon because it is one of my favorite like horror movies.
All right. My all-time favorite slasher is Halloween, so there's that.
Was that in the 70s?
Yeah, 78.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, that's our video for the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. What do you guys think? What's your favorite entry in the franchise? Is it this one? Is it the numerous other ones? Is it the what's your face? Jessica Biel one?
Yeah. I forgot what it was called. I think it was just Leatherface or something. But it was like a 2000 something remake.
Yeah.
2010.
No, I don't think it's a. It doesn't seem like a 2010 movie. It seems like a mid
2005. Okay, yeah. She was wearing like Y2K clothes in the 70s. I was like, yeah, that's a bit weird.
Yeah. But yeah, if you like our stuff, please like our videos, subscribe to the channel, and ding the bell icon to get notified of when we upload next. We're also on Spotify and TikTok. TikTok to see your best and funniest moments and reaction to trailers, and Spotify to hear us on the go. I am not in any social media, but this gentleman is. Where can they find you?
Oh, you can find me at JomJM on Instagram. It is my account.
And until the next one, we'll see you then. Bye, everybody.
Ciao.